All right, guys, this is Crazy Kevin here with my host Steve, and we're here with UFC fighter Adam Fugitt. Adam, how we doing?
Doing good, guys. Just out here enjoying the AZ sun, ready to go.
Yeah, man. So it's been a little bit since we've seen you in the cage. So what have you been up to, and how's training been?
It's been a little bit, but training's been good. Hoping to get back in there soon. Was hoping to be back in there already, but it hasn't played out that way. So just been being a martial artist, waking up, training every day, trying to always improve, and that's what kind of brings me down to here to Arizona, and that's to get outside my comfort zone and just really push to make myself the next version of myself that I can be, the better version.
So when you're training and you don't know about like your next upcoming fight, is your walk around weight a lot different than your fighting weight? And do you watch kind of like what you're eating versus, vice versa?
Yeah, so food is my drug of choice, I guess you could say. I like myself, some good food. So yeah, my walk around weight's a little higher. I don't try to get, too fat, but I'm definitely, I'm walking around 200, 205 right now.
Okay.
Uh, and in camp, I usually like to get down to like 195. That's where I like to sit. And since I really got on strength and conditioning, well, mainly strength training, it's never been my forte, but really have like tried to focus on making improvements there. My weight has gone up with the muscle that I put on. So I used to walk around 195 pretty naturally. Now I definitely have to check myself, not too many, burgers and fries and, you
Yeah.
know, hold off and off the second helping of pancakes.
Do you have the same regimen when you're actually watching it? Like, do you kind of meal prep or do you kind of like just know what not to eat?
No, that's definitely I definitely go into meal prep stuff. I want to have the right amount of protein, to fuel my body because it's so key after you have a hard training session or like I do, usually do two training sessions a day. Um, Making sure that you're rehydrating and refueling on food is so key, and you want to have the right amount of protein to that. So meal prep's a little bit more important, for me when I'm in camp versus outside of camp. Yeah, I'll have a little bit more carbs in there in the meal than necessary, I guess you could say.
And then as well, with you being in Arizona, you were mentioning a little bit with your meal prep. Is there anything else in Arizona that you think is going to bring you to that next level?
Honestly, I'm a creature of habit and a creature of comfort. So back in my home gym, I was I was the guy, the big guy on campus, you could say. So putting myself in an environment where there's guys that at my level, guys that are on the UFC, Kelvin Gastelum, guys that are about to make it there, and Ray Waters, is super key. It gets a little hard to be hungry for that next W when you don't have guys either to look up to or pushing you. So I'm very much looking forward to kind of going back to being the student again, rather than kind of I was tackling being a fighter and kind of being a coach back there. So just strictly the mindset and removing myself from that comfort zone and put myself in the deep waters here in Arizona.
How do you enjoy being a coach, and what ages did you coach? Were it just adults, or was it kids as well too?
So kids are a little bit more difficult. You got to have a lot of patience.
Yep.
I really, enjoy coaching. I can say I enjoy coaching. I am coaching like amateur fighters, people that are aspiring to try to push their limits and try to make a shot at accomplishing the highest levels. Kids, that it's fun to watch them, grow, and it's fun to watch them evolve. But I also think there's times where they're just like they're in there to have fun, and that's great. That's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. I enjoy that as well. But it's really cool when you see, young amateurs, reach their goals that they set for themselves that year. One of my amateur training partners that I have, he made a goal this last year to get 4 fights in, and he went 3-1, and so that was a big achievement for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess one thing I have for you too is if you're a young fighter, what would you recommend martial art wise for stand up and then for your ground game as well too?
I mean, there's so many of them out there. I don't really think you can go wrong. You got to figure out what works for you. Um, like some people are really good with their kicks, some people are really good with their hands, right? And I think that the way that martial arts is going, right, you got to find those skills. Some of us are really good wrestlers, right? You got to find what your 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 niche is, right? Or niche. You got to find what your niche is. You got to find out what you're good at, and then really start to develop those skills. And because you got to have your go tos. And then it's hard because then later on you got to tackle that, like, I'm a really good wrestler, and that's what I'm winning fights with. But you also got to continue to evolve. You got to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions to like learn and develop your striking. So for me with MMA, it's kind of a mixed bag. I try to, obviously you got to work on the stuff that you're trashing, otherwise you'll get exposed. When you get to the higher levels. So it really becomes down to mixing it up well. But understanding that there's only so many of those developmental buckets that you can fill within the day. You can't be trying to train everything at once all the time. So knowing where your skill work is going to be necessary, and then trying to put it all together, say on, your low sparring intensity days, that kind of play sparring that you like to do. That's where you can kind of experiment.
How you're talking about skill work and focusing on what you're good at and everything. When you're coming up against an opponent, are you doing a lot of film on their habits and what their main, their go-tos
Right.
are?
Yeah, no, of course I've gotten into that my last couple fights. Before I kind of had the Donald Cerrone mentality. Like I didn't want to see them. I didn't want to think about them. It comes with a wave of emotion that I don't really like to wear very much. And then these last two fights, I've really kind of thrown myself into that discomfort of having to think about what they're going to try to do versus what I want to do. And I think for me, it's a mixed bag still. I had some success with it in the Kinoshita fight. I kind of didn't really have success with it in the Mike Malott fight. I think that I got a little too hyper focused going into the fight with Mike rather than knowing that, yeah, it's two, top level fighters going at each other, and I got to make my game work for me and stop his game. But really, at the end of the day, when you get two people in there like that, there's never any guarantee your style is going to cancel out their style. So what I should have been looking to do is get to my spots, and if it's not working out for me, at the end of the day, it's a fight, and everybody's got a game plan until they get hit in the face. And I should have tried a little bit more to bring that fight out rather than try to out technique the whole time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you saying that quote, the Mike Tyson quote, what's your opinion on Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson? Do you think that's a circus act, or do you think
I you just call me a hater, man. I don't like any of the Paul fights. I
Yeah.
really don't. It's been nice to see him taking on, other boxers, I guess you could say here, or, trying to actually get real fights in. I say real fights. He's been fighting, but whether they're at it or not,
yeah.
I don't like the Tyson fight. Mike is, I'm gonna be rooting for Mike Tyson the whole way around, and I'm gonna be crushed if he goes in there and doesn't have success. That's where my emotions lie with that.
Now, I'm assuming too, you might have heard the news with Francis Ngannou yesterday too with that boxing. I mean, did you see that highlight? And I mean, what's your thoughts of that?
My phone has not stopped blowing up with that highlight, man. It's honestly, it's discouraging and sad for me. Me and my friend were just talking about, where does Francis go from here?
Yeah.
And on the same token, like, props to Francis, man. Like, putting himself in there against the elites, when he's got very little experience. Those boxers, they do thousands, hundred thousands of hours, or reps on their skill, which is boxing. They have so much skill development there. compared to what Francis has, where he's had to worry about takedowns and submissions, and he can't just hyper focus on his striking. Oh, and by the way, when he's on his feet, he's got to worry about kicks. So he's not been able to just hyper focus that way. So for him to go in there against the best guys in the world in boxing, like I just I tip my hat to him. But also the same point, and it's never fun to see one of your guys get knocked out like that.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking to see that outcome, especially too with how he boxed Tyson Fury.
Right.
It's
styles make fights, man. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I know one thing I was watching from a previous podcast of yours that you were on was you mentioned that you felt that you were a UFC gatekeeper at one point for like a lot of upcomers. I thought that was a really
Right.
interesting statement. Like, do you still feel that way? And if so, like, why do you think the UFC picked you? I mean, you seem like a cool guy. You got an exciting fighting style. Like, why you, or did they pick out as the gatekeeper?
I mean, you gotta feel that way, right?
Oh, I do, but I'm just confused. I was just, I think it's a cool
Yeah.
quote to kind of hear you actually straight up say it. I mean, there's not a lot of people that
Right.
would actually say that.
I think what they see with me is a tested guy, a tough guy. I'm no easy out. I'm gonna bring the fight. I'm gonna be in your face from the get go, and I'm gonna try to impose my will. And I think they see those traits in me, and then they have a lot of these young up and comers, that need that test. Michael Morales, super. He's I think he's the future of the welterweight division for sure.
Yeah.
I'm a great test for him. The same, Kinoshita comes in and they're talking about him being this knockout artist, potentially in a Conor McGregor style like sense, and
Yeah.
but relatively unproven. How's he going to do against somebody that's not going to just lie down against him? And then Mike, getting that W and going on to Mike, another guy that after the Kinoshita fight, my opinion might have changed on it a little bit, because I kind of felt like me and Mike were right there neck and neck, kind of trying to push for the same fight. And I mean, I have my buddy sitting right here. I think he can tell you, if I would have made it through Mike, I wanted to fight Neil Magny next. Like,
Oh,
that
that
was
would
a
have been a fun
fight
one.
that we were like definitely like looking at. Neil's a very tough fighter, and somebody that I look at is like, that's kind of the role they're trying to push me into. How do I break out of that? Well, I got to go beat that, right? So I just, that's kind of why I had those thoughts and those feelings on the gatekeeper thing. I have a skill set that is going to be really hard for other fighters in the division. And if they can get through me, then maybe they've got a chance to push into the top 15, top 10 area.
Yeah, no, like I said, I definitely agree with your statement. I just, you don't usually hear fighters usually say it, but I 100% agree. I mean, I think Michael Morales is a really big problem. And then you just mentioned Mike Malott too. I mean, it's going to be definitely some tough matchups. With that being said, I mean, who do you think out of all those guys was your toughest matchup?
Honestly, I think it was Morales.
Okay.
Definitely think it was Morales. I think that he isn't the same fighter that he was when we fought. He's in the gym still. He's developing. And I think we're yet to see the best version of him. So I definitely think it was Michael.
I gotcha. Now, with that being said, too, do you have a fight that you're eyeing up right now? I know you mentioned Neil Magny as like a dream matchup, but is there anybody at the moment you're kind of looking at besides him?
Honestly, no, man. I've been so hyper focused on getting down here to Arizona, and trying to just get back and get down here and get in a routine, right? And
Yeah.
so that's all I've been kind of really focused on. I haven't really talked to my management as much as I should be. Another kind of knock on me. I'm not the squeaky wheel. I don't, I need to be a little bit more of a squeak wheel. So we'll see what happens. This Monday, I'm going to get back in the gym here in Arizona, since I was traveling the last couple of days. And I just got off the phone with Coach Eddie before you guys came on, and he told me that Monday we're going. We're going to be pushing, and we're going to be contacting my management for fights. So as far as who we can expect, I think it's wide open. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Now, is this like the last fight in your contract? Do you have maybe two left? I mean, do you have like any extra pressure going into this fight?
Uh, you know, it is my last fight on this contract, and I got a mixed bag, right? I'm 1-2 right now in the UFC, so I could only guess that I got to go in there and I got to finish this fight. I don't think a decision or a boring fight, is gonna really win me any brownie points with UFC matchmaking. So I'm just looking at it going there just like any other fight. And, every fight I potentially look at as it could be my last fight, right? Not that it is, not that I'm looking to retire, but I just kind of go in there with that mentality. And that kind of, I don't know, it's just allowed me to focus on that fight. I don't like to look ahead, and I don't like to hang out in the past on previous ones.
Have you ever had a fight that you turned down? Maybe like you got a call out a short notice or um, for whatever reason. But has there ever been a fight maybe where that you said, no, I'm not doing this?
Um, I turned down a fight in August to fight over in on the Korean Zombie Max card. I believe that's when it was. I turned that one down because I basically almost I know this sounds dramatic, but I felt like I almost wrapped my shin around. I almost had an Anderson Silva moment. I tried to inside low kick a teammate, and I caught his knee, and I felt my shin flex, and it was not a good moment. So when I got that call, I was quite bummed out, because I was ready, I was preparing, I wanted to get back in there and prove, reestablish my confidence, gain that confidence back. The last fight doesn't define who I am. I know I got more, and so I was really looking forward to fighting, and then I did that, and yeah, I couldn't take that fight going in with an injury like that. I was limping around and everything, so that was definitely it sucked.
Yeah, it does. So when you're on like a contract, like say you have the 3 fights or so whatever, and something like
Mm-hmm.
that happens, when you make that call, do people do they bitch or do they argue with you, like or is it kind of
You
just
know, I informed my manager's the one that called me about the fight, and I told him, I was like, dude, I literally, like, this leg's not ready to go. I injured it. It needs more time. Um, if this is gonna look bad on me, like, I'll take the fight. Like, I'll do
yeah,
it. Like, I don't turn down fights. I've gone into fights with injuries. It's kind of the name of the game. I believe I can go in there against anybody, even with a slight injury or something. So I asked, just, is this going to make me look bad? Is this going to do any damage to my reputation? I mean, I took a fight on 9 days' notice for my first fight, and I haven't turned down a single one yet. If this is going to look bad, then we'll go in there. And he said, no, man, these things happen, and we'll get you on the back in there as soon as that leg heals up. So
uh,
um, from my understanding, it's all good. And yeah, I'm just I'm going to go with that one. I'm not going to
yeah,
get into any
yeah.
theories on it.
So you've been on some pretty big cards too. I mean, what is it like to kind of fight in that kind of atmosphere?
Oh man, the the Canada one was epic, man. Like, and I definitely succumbed to some of those nerves. I wasn't really feeling anything until they locked that cage door, and it was like, oh, okay, you know, um, interesting. The Apex was interesting, walking in there, that fight environment, but walking in and it being so personal, personable or whatever. The everybody's sitting lazy boys, they're kicked back, or they're at dinner tables or something. It's that one's different as well. The Morales fight didn't really feel. I mean, it was in a large arena, but we were early, so the crowd wasn't completely like packed in yet. Not like the Malott fight, the Vancouver one with the packed crowd. Man, that it was electric, and in that moment, I fell back into I've never been here before. This is a little different, when it's really not. All fights are just that's what it is. It's you getting in there to showcase your skills and abilities that you've been developing, and everybody else on the outside is kind of an outlier. You just tune into what you're doing.
Do you have some go-to before fight music? or do you have like a before fight thing you always do?
I try to get a little snooze, a little sleep, you know. I come
Okay.
in, I like to sit down and throw my bag up behind the back of my head, knowing that it's probably going to be, I don't know, anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes before the guy, whoever's wrapping your hands comes in. So I like to kind of just kick back, and I've already stretched out. I've already done a pre fight workout really, and got my sweat going. So that's fine. And after I get my hands wrapped, we'll do one more round of basically getting that sweat going, and then we're going to fight. So usually I just kind of kick back, and I'll throw on, yeah, some music, depending on whatever I listen to in camp. Usually on the fight night, I like to keep it really kind of just mellow and relaxed. So like this last time, I think I was listening to some like Mac Miller, Best Day Ever stuff, just some low key stuff.
Okay, that's a solid one. I'll take that. So Adam, I have a question for you. I know you mentioned earlier you're a coach. I've been training Taekwondo for about 20 years now, and I've been teaching for about 6. I teach about 150 students at my location. Do you have any advice for the students that are coming in every single day and training every day to get better?
Man, that's I always go with this one. It's like what we do isn't, you know, it's not really, we don't do anything special. It's all repetition based, so you put the reps in, you're gonna see those results, you're gonna see those develop, so it's all about just putting in that time, putting in that work. And again, we don't do anything special. Now that being said, us, fighters and competitors, I think we're a little bit, off kilter. You know we got a little something off, because not everybody is meant to get in there and to, try to compete and do what they train, what they practice. There's not
Right.
not everybody has that. So that's a different thing. That's a mentality thing, so don't be discouraged. Like anybody can train, anybody can develop their skills and get good with just showing up daily and putting in the work.
Absolutely. No, that's really good advice, Adam. I appreciate that. And Adam, before we let you go, last message to the fans out there that are going to be watching this podcast.
Yeah. Tune in. I'm not sure when I'm going to be back on, but tune in when it happens. Maybe I will try to link back up and try to do another session before once I get a fight notice. But huge shout out to Back to Strength Chiropractic in Eugene, Oregon, Alpha Towing, and Skynet Security, who have helped me, basically accomplish this next chapter of getting down to Arizona and doing a fight camp out of Fight Ready. Without them, this would just probably wouldn't be possible. So I can't thank them enough. And shout out to my family and my girlfriend and friends.
Yeah, man. All right, Adam. Like I said, we'll definitely be looking forward to your career and your next fight, whenever it is. And I appreciate you coming on the show. And we'll definitely try to link up whenever your next fight is or whenever you'd like. I mean, thanks again for coming on. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on. It was a great time.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
man. I really
Adam.
appreciate
Yep.
it.
Nice talking
Have
to
a
you.
good one.
All right,
You
man.
too.
You too. See you later.
Later.